Hey everybody, welcome to the Lesson 1 recap for MSOM 602, Servant Leadership. Had a great time this week chatting with many of the new students and finding out a little bit about you and hopefully helping you with some of your questions as you begin this journey for your master's degree. So it was great chatting with you. After the first week, I do take my scheduler down. So if you want to spend time with me or arrange an appointment, you can just do so by sending me an email. So I only use that scheduler for the first week because of the rush of the number of students who I have to coordinate. So it's great chatting with you this week. In Lesson 1, you had an opportunity to introduce yourself. You had a good chance to see the backgrounds of many of the other people in the class, and I hope that helped you because, again, you're going to walk alongside these folks in many of the same classes over the next few weeks and months. The other discussion question this week talked about leadership. I had you watch a video, and one of the comments that you'll see when I begin grading your discussion board questions is really looking for supported opinion. I really stress very heavily the use of supported opinion by going to the CSU online library to find sources there in peer-reviewed articles. If you need some refresher on that, make sure that you take a look at the tutorials under Course Home. I have 2 tutorials under there to use to help find peer-reviewed articles, but that's really important, and that's one of the big differences, again, in undergraduate degree programs where you can just go out and do a Google search and find something and throw it up there. It doesn't work in graduate level work because you really need to have support for your opinions. If not, they're just simply opinions and not much use. And I don't have much use for them, nor do researchers have much use for them if they're not supported. And so you'll see some comments in the grade book on that under the discussion questions. And then finally, the case study this week was on a personal assessment. You did a moral profile assessment. And again, those were really designed to benefit you, not so much me, but it gave you an idea on the lens through which you're going to view some of the issues that we talk about over the next few weeks. So I hope you found them beneficial. One of the things that I think you found that hopefully will be important is that in graduate level work, a lot of the work, a lot of the questions are going to be up to you. I'm going to provide smaller amounts of introduction, smaller amounts of requirements. I mean, think about this for a second. When you're in the undergraduate world, what the professor would do is say, I want this, here's how I want it, here's how I want it formatted, here are the number of pages, here are the other things. So you've got chapter and verse, everything that the professor was looking for. Well, in a graduate level program, I operate on the philosophy that a lot of the direction that you will take in your research shouldn't be dictated by me. It should be dictated by you. I should obviously provide a framework and a roadmap, so to speak, of where you need to be headed, but the challenges and the details and all the additional things that you need to find out will be based upon the research that you do. And so I know that may be frustrating for many of you as you're transitioning from undergraduate work where you got a list of 15 things, if that's what the professor wants you to have in the paper that you write. And these, I'm going to give you fewer and fewer and fewer things over time and let you develop those based upon the research that you have going forward. So just be prepared for those types of things as well. So that's Lesson 1 wrapped up. I hope you had a good time this week, just kind of getting started. And again, for those of you who are new to the degree program, that navigation happen is going to be a lot easier as you go through these things over time. So let's take a look for a second at Lesson 2 preview from what you'll be doing the next week. You're going to have a discussion question this week that talks about servant leadership in the workplace. And what that's really going to help you do is begin to frame up your mindset. You spend so much time in the workplace. I mean, you spend more time in the workplace probably than you do anywhere else. It'll help you begin to frame up how this concept of servant leadership and leadership can apply for you in the workplace. And you need to look at that and begin to think about that, not so much from activities and different things that you do, but more from an attitude and from the attitudes that you're going to be looking for and being able to translate over the next the next few weeks as you begin to look at these things. So I've provided a video this week that has Rick Warren talking a little bit about servant leadership in it. So take a look at that and then begin to discuss some of your ideas on how servant leadership can apply in the workplace. Remember, on discussion boards, I'm looking for things that are substantive. Again, in your initial response and also in your two, a minimum of two, response posts that you put to other students. And so make sure that it's substantive. Just, hey, I agree, or great post, or things like that really don't serve to extend the discussion at all. So make sure that you're very substantive. You use your, perhaps some examples, some ideas from your research in your post there. The second thing that you see this week is a memo exercise. I explained that to many of you who talked to me this past week, a lot of the new students, but these memo exercises, there'll be a series of 3 of them in lesson 2, 4, and 5. And what you're going to be doing is explaining to your organization, if you're the head of the organization or head of a department, you're going to be explaining to your organization in a series of 3 different memos servant leadership. The first one you're going to explain, which will be this week, is what is servant leadership? Because if you're going to be announcing to your organization or your department that you're moving to a servant leadership model, the first question they're going to have is, what in the world is servant leadership? And so you need to be very succinct in this. And remember, this is a memo to your organization, so you don't use citations, you don't do things like that. It's not written for me, it's written as if you were the head of that organization and you're trying to convince the rank and file of what servant leadership is and inform them of what that is. So that's the first memo. Your second memo, that'll be in lesson 4, I believe, will be why. If you think about it, anytime you go through any change management strategies, the first question that people are going to have is what? It's like, what is servant leadership? And after you explain that to them, they're going to go, okay, I understand what David thinks servant leadership is, but why in the world are we moving towards that? Isn't what we're currently doing working? And so that'll be the basis of the second memo. And then the third memo in lesson 5 will be, well, what's in it for me? I mean, you think about that, and again, in change management strategy, the first is, what are we doing? The second one is, well, why are we doing it? And the third question they always have is, what's in it for me? How's this going to impact me? And so those are the things that you'll be doing in servant leadership memo exercises. And these memo exercises, I've given you in those a interoffice memo template. You can use that, or you can use whatever you would like to use. But remember, they're supposed to be written so that the rank and file people in your organization understand those things. So write it from the perspective of that in your company. Don't be too verbose. These remember, if you get memos, chances are, if you're like me, you'll read the first paragraph, and if it's not compelling enough, you're going to toss it. And so make sure that those are compelling. And then finally this week, you'll submit the first portion, part 1 of your course project. And this submission is simply an outline. It's an outline of your thoughts. And think about it this way. Think about it, these will be the headings that you will have in your course project. So don't write narrative on it. Don't go into a lot of detail and filling in the blanks. It's just simply, if you think about this as a roadmap, these are the mile markers. These are the exit signs. So it's like, here's my cover page. Here is my introduction. Here is the overview of the company that I've selected. Here's the current leadership structure of that company. And then go from there. Again, just use an outline and use what you think your headings might be. And then what I will do, I will take a look at those and then bounce you back my comments and suggestions at the end of this. So one of the things I find with students many times is they don't understand outlines. They don't understand how to do a plain, simple outline. Probably be a 2-page outline or perhaps a 3-page outline depending on the number of headings that you have. But no narrative is needed. It's just your headlines, just the headings that you think you may be using in that. Well, I wanted to this will probably be the last week I'll be doing this from home. I've got a bunch of travel planned, but this week I spent pretty much planted here so that I could have discussions with the new students. And so if any of you have any questions going forward, make sure that you give me a call, send me an email, and we will get connected. I hope you all have an excellent week, and chat with you soon.